Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
Why living in Croatia is becoming incredibly hard.
Croatia's property prices keep skyrocketing
Who's
as the country
this
records the
reporting
highest
I don't
annual
know.
across
increase
the
amongst the
Balkans.
European states.
TRT World.
House prices in the country have been rising steadily over the
Ludovica
years.
It's been
Brignola.
almost 3 weeks since Croatia adopted the euro as its currency, and people aren't happy.
Oh, recently?
I don't know how old that is.
I'll discuss that in just a minute with Kolinda Grabar-Kitarovic, former president of Croatia and deputy head of NATO.
Croatia had to meet strict economic conditions to join. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen traveled to Zagreb to mark the occasion.
Croatia might look like paradise, but for many who live here, it feels more like survival.
It does. It looked like paradise.
To be fair, when Lithuania adopted euro was also everything that got very expensive. Basically, people said that the price that used to be in litas, which was like 3.5 times cheaper than euro, basically, it became in euros. So like price is tripled, basically, like over the time of like a period of a year or something. So I think probably similar happened in Croatia.
Since 2019, rents have climbed by more than 70%, but average salaries have only grown about 20%. Families are working longer hours, young people are sharing apartments into their 30s, and thousands are leaving every year in search of stability. It's the side of Croatia most tourists never see. But for locals, it's daily life. So why is it becoming so incredibly hard to live here? Let's break it down. The truth is,
I would say, Croatians, if you're watching this and you're feeling that it's becoming incredibly hard, you're not alone. I think most of the world is incredibly hard. I think there's probably very few countries in the world where they can say, oh, people are doing well, it's not incredibly hard. I don't know, Norway maybe, like, because most of the countries, it's hard. Like,
But you know what doesn't help is when you see like content created like, oh, I moved to Croatia
yes, that
and my
definitely
life
doesn't
is like
help.
so 10 times better.
That
Like,
that definitely doesn't help. Yeah.
you just can't afford a country where your paycheck runs out before the month does. In Croatia, the average net salary is about 1,100 euros a month, and that's if you're full-time. If you're part-time or seasonal, it's even less. Compare that to Slovenia just across the border with 1,400 euros, or Germany where it's 3 times higher, and yet the prices of commodities are practically the same. Since switching to the euro in 2023, food inflation has
But I'm sure we can find a video about why is it living in Germany becoming increasingly harder too. And there will be a reason, maybe not financial, maybe immigration, because Germany has a lot of immigration issues right now. You'll find issues everywhere. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not unique, exclusive to Croatia.
been brutal. Bread, milk, and vegetables jumped by more than 15%. Eating out costs 30% more. Even clothes are pricier and have shot up by almost 40%. So what happens? Families cut back. Meat becomes a luxury. Young people share flats or never move out in the first place. Pensioners who receive barely 500 euros a month skip meals or rely on their kids just to get through winter. People work hard, but the reward is shrinking. It's no wonder you hear the phrase working full-time and still poor in cafes and job interviews and at family dinners. In Croatia's 2025 economy,
and that's
wages
interesting
aren't just
because
low.
it used to be when you work full time, you're able to support your family and have a little bit of savings. Now, full time is like it's like check by check.
Yeah.
They're completely disconnected from the reality of daily life. And paychecks aren't the only thing under pressure. The roof over your head is slipping out of reach too. In Zagreb, a one-bedroom flat that cost 400 euros in 2019 now rents for over 700 euros. In Split, the same apartment can easily reach 1,000 euros. And in Dubrovnik, it's common to see
Why is Split more expensive than Zagreb? Like, I get why Dubrovnik is more expensive, the whole Game of Thrones and tourism, but why Split?
This is don't underrate her. She's
Yeah,
that
but
girl.
Zagreb also that girl. Or maybe that boy, I don't know.
1,200 euros or more for spaces locals once considered modest. That's more than an entire monthly salary. Buying doesn't help. Croatia's national house price index jumped more than 10% in 2024 alone. On the coast, prices per square meter are over 3,700 euros. For young couples, that means saving for years just to afford a down payment and then watching mortgage rates climb. So what happens? Adults in their 30s live with their parents. Croatia has the highest age of leaving home in the EU at over 33 years old. Some families build upwards, adding an extra floor to their houses for grown.
I wonder how that compares to Greece and Italy, because I think we've seen in those countries also, kids still live with their parents old. So, again, Croatia not alone.
Children, because buying a separate apartment is impossible. Housing isn't just shelter, it's the chance to be independent, to start a family, to build a future. And in today's Croatia,
What's
that
interesting
chance
is the solution is to build up.
On limited land, so you go up.
No, like in the same family home, they build up.
Oh,
That's a cool idea.
yeah.
way. And the truth is, these disappearing homes are the result of rising demand and of an entire housing market being reshaped into something else entirely.
Maybe you need a little less inspiration.
The housing crisis isn't just about locals wanting homes. It's about tourists wanting rooms. Airbnb has taken over. In 2024, Croatia had more than 220,000 short-term rentals. Dubrovnik alone has nearly 5,000 active listings, many earning over 20,000 euros a year. For landlords, the choice is easy. Rent to tourists for the summer and make what you get from locals in a year. That shift empties out neighborhoods. Streets that used to be full of long-term tenants now feel like hotel corridors. Whole apartment blocks are locked behind key boxes.
So,
Foreign investors add to the problem.
but in the summer they only rent out to tourists.
That's
So
what he's saying.
it's short. So you only get like what, 8 months to rent out or 9 months to rent out to
The locals?
locals? I've never heard of a 9-month deal. Usually like yearly contracts.
There is month-to-month leases, or half a year, 6-month leases. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Germans, Austrians, and others buy Croatian property not to live in, but to flip or rent seasonally. In Split and Dubrovnik, locals joke that their cities are being sold off brick by brick. The joke cuts close to the bone. And for those left behind, rising rents, shrinking options, and the sinking feeling that their own cities aren't really theirs anymore. Because once housing becomes a product for tourists and investors, it stops being a home for locals, and tourism itself becomes both the lifeline and the trap. Tourism is Croatia's lifeline. It makes up roughly 20% of the national economy, which is one of the highest shares.
That's to call it a lifeline when it makes up 30%. I don't think that's lifeline. To me, when he said lifeline, I was wow, thinking like closer to 50%. Because 20% is a significant chunk, don't get me wrong, but to call it lifeline, that's not a lifeline. That's a part of it. But lifeline is like so dramatic. That's do or die, it's not.
Shares in Europe. Every summer, 20 million tourists flood into a country with fewer than 4 million residents. That's 5 visitors for every local. The money is real, but so are the side effects. During peak season, food and restaurant prices spike. Public transport in coastal cities overflows. Hospitals see surges of injuries and illnesses from visitors. For locals, life becomes more expensive and more crowded without the salaries to match. The jobs created rarely offer stability. Waiters, cleaners, and tour guides work exhausting summer shifts, then face unemployment come autumn. A generation of young Croatians is stuck in the cycle. Their hard work is matched with very little security. Tourism also reshapes culture. Dubrovnik's old town has few permanent residents left, and it's now an almost entirely tourist zone. Locals often avoid their own historic centers because they no longer feel built for them. Tourism was supposed to save Croatia. Instead, it's making daily life more expensive, more unstable, and harder to call your own. It also puts
I could
unbearable weight
understand
on the
that.
very service.
Yeah, but at the same time, think about where the country would be without tourism. Maybe it wouldn't even be nowhere near where it is right now
Yeah,
economically.
that's the thing.
So you can't just say, "Oh, tourism bad."
There's a catch.
Yes, it's like that's why, like when we did Greece and there was like people complaining about tourism. I was like, I don't know if you can complain about tourism, especially Greece. I think Greece is more dependent on tourism than Croatia is. So it's like, I think there's ways to kind of mitigate it. Maybe
The only times I'm hearing about Croatia is when they go on the trips for the bachelor, and they go to Croatia, they go to Prague, they go to all these places that I never heard of before. But before that, I would never hear like Croatia being like a tourist destination place until
think
like
it's
after the Game of Thrones.
I think it's more in Europe tourist destination than from here to the States. Here, Americans more go to Mexico or the Caribbean. I would think so. Than Europe. If they go to Europe, it's probably Greece or Italy.
People depend on to get by. Once, Croatians could rely on strong public services to balance low wages. Today, even that safety net is fraying. Healthcare is at the breaking point. Croatia spends around 1,392 euros per person on health, which is among the lowest in the EU, while the average hovers closer to 2,800 euros. That's barely half the norm. With fewer doctors and strained hospitals, the system is buckling. In rural regions, entire villages lack resident doctors. Thousands of doctors and nurses have already left for Austria and Germany, where they can earn double or triple their Croatian salaries. Schools are struggling too. Teachers' salaries are low, at an average of 1,540 euros net per month, which makes it incredibly hard to attract young staff. Resources are outdated.
That's not a lot, but that's more than the average of 1,100 that we saw in the intro, so that's something.
During last year's heat waves, classrooms without air conditioning hit 40 degrees, and parents had to bring fans from home. Public transport is another headache. Zagreb's tram still
A lot, Michelle. 40 degrees is like, I don't know, like 110.
Oh no, we can't. No class. Class canceled.
run, but
No
much of the
class.
fleet
Let me see.
You're crazy.
Smaller towns have buses so
Inside?
infrequent,
Oh no, it's
they might
so
as well
hard.
not exist. When
No.
daily life feels as broken, frustration doesn't stay quiet for long.
Sorry, 104.
Oh, that's
That's hot. It's hot.
It's high.
Because I bet it's humid
Inside?
too, because it's right next to the water. It's gotta be humid too.
Strikes have become part of the rhythm of life. Doctors walked out in 2023, warning that hospitals were collapsing under staff shortages. Teachers followed, demanding pay that matched rising prices. Even public sector workers joined in, saying they were tired of working harder for less. But it isn't just wages, it's politics too. Croatia ranks 57th on Transparency International's corruption index, one of the worst in the EU.
Yeah, that's not
Many
too high.
believe leaders are serving themselves, not the people. So what happens? Voter turnout drops. In some elections, less than half the country shows up. People are tired. They don't believe things will change, and fatigue is dangerous, because when anger fades into apathy, staying starts to feel pointless, and leaving begins to look like the only way forward.
Where am I going? I don't know. Where am I heading?
The truth is, Croatians are leaving in staggering numbers. Since joining the EU in 2013, more than 400,000 Croatians, which is about 10% of the population, have emigrated, mostly to Germany, Ireland, and Austria. Eurostat data shows nearly 15% of Croatian citizens now live abroad. Sadly, the pace has
Can you
slowed.
blame them?
In 2024 alone,
Have you ever met
the
a
country
Croatian
recorded a net
in
loss.
Miami? Or in any place you've been here in the States?
I don't think so. I don't recall a Croat. No, I don't think so.
Of over 5,000 people. This isn't just a brain drain, it's a future drain. Young doctors, engineers, IT specialists, and skilled workers are building lives elsewhere. Small towns in Slavonia are filled with empty houses and shuttered schools. Rural communities lose critical services as populations shrink. The government has tried to lure returnees with incentives, but the math doesn't add up. Why would someone earning 3,000 euros a month in Munich return to 1,100 euros in Zagreb with much higher costs and even fewer opportunities? Until that gap closes, the exodus
Unless
will
they
continue.
work remotely.
It's a hard
Yeah.
choice for many Croatians to fight for.
I think that's what it seems like. Croatia is a place for remote workers. If you work online and you make money in like dollars, or maybe work for like British, German company, I think Croatia is a great place to live. But I think making Croatian money and living in Croatia is not the optimal choice.
future at home or build one somewhere else. Increasingly, they're choosing the latter, and that's the greatest danger of all. Because a country without its youth isn't just struggling in the present, it's losing its future. Croatia will always be beautiful,
That
But beauty
sounds
doesn't
like a
pay the rent
philosophical
or convince young people to
conversation.
stay.
Huh?
Unless something changes, this country risks becoming a face on a postcard for tourists, while the people who call it home
And as I was saying, guys, look at these two thumbnails. Why living in Netherlands is becoming increasingly hard. Why living in
Yeah.
Ireland is the
And they
same
put the
everywhere.
sad face.
Yeah.
man.
So I think I wonder how this really reflects the reality because
Yes.
YouTubers like to
Go
make
to the
these
comments.
yeah.
Maybe tell us.
YouTubers like to make these sensationalist videos whether it's like very good or very bad. I
yeah.
wonder how it's like actually is because we can always find problems everywhere and we can always find something very good everywhere. You know, it's just like all about how you deal with it, how you approach it. Well, another one, harsh reality about living in Greece. Too is maintaining Brussels politicians and Ukrainian war is an expensive affair. Your information is absolutely correct. I live on an island across from the city of Split. Luckily, I built my home in cash as I lived in Canada, but food is very expensive. Croatia is not the only country suffering. Most of you is going downhill, and many families are returning from Germany because it's really bad down there too. The EU is a well-designed plan to rob the citizens of Europe. Ooh. Oh, that's an interesting take. No,
So if they go back to their original currency, things will be better.
I don't think it's just about the currency. I think it's being part of EU because you have to contribute to the EU as well, you know. I think it's just interesting, you know, because we see like a lot of videos when they talk like about America as being all bad, horrible, but we see that Europe is also having its own issues. As I said, I just think every country has issues. It's just this really is always the grass is always greener on the other side at the end of the day, you know.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. If you'd like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. As always, share as much kindness as possible.